Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Transparency Conversations, episode 2, where we will be discussing the Last Dance documentary, episodes 1 through 4. I'm your host, LeBron Stephan. Thank you for tuning into my show. So first off, as an 80s baby, barely an 80s baby, I was born in 1989. Obviously, I grew up a big Chicago Bulls fan in the 90s. I just can remember having this like nostalgic feeling of kind of grinding all week, Monday through Friday. And then I would usually have muni league football games on Saturday and then watch college football after that with my dad. And then I just could not wait till Sunday to be able to watch the Bulls on NBC. I still remember that intro. Right. So when I heard about the Last Dance documentary, I was just uber excited. Right. The first thing I could think about was eating fast food, whether it be McDonald's or Rally's, on the living room floor over newspaper. My dad or my parents would make me eat fast food over newspaper whenever I was watching the Bulls. So obviously, every kid in the '90s, whether you were in the city or whether you were in the city or inner city or suburbs, you always try to emulate, Michael Jordan. So being able to get such an in-depth look at, so many behind the scenes things, it was so cool that they allowed a separate individual camera crew to, follow them the whole season and get every piece of content and essentially, not hide anything, right? So it's been a joy. They've showed 4 episodes so far, and it's been a joy to really see, behind the scenes as far as the Last Dance, as far as the 1998 Chicago Bulls team. So, with me being born in 1989, there were so many things that I, was oblivious to, right? Because I was only, 8 or 9 years old under the 1997-98 season. But I do remember that season extremely vividly, watching the games on Sundays, understanding that this may be, Michael Jordan's last year playing with the Bulls. So I'm just a sports guy in general. I started playing basketball at 9, started playing football at 8. So I've been so entrenched in just trying to understand, how that team was formulated, and it's been quite a joy, in my honest opinion. All right. So before we get started, please, like, share, and also comment your opinion of the episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, or episode 4 of the documentary thus far. We've been able to see so much to go on. So I'll just go from episode by episode, give a few points, give some of my opinions, and hope that you guys will be willing to share as well. So episode 1, obviously was kind of focused on the GM, Jerry Krause. So this was like mind-boggling to me that he actually told one of the greatest coaches ever, Phil Jackson, that whether he went 82-0 or not during that season, this was going to be his last season. So my first thinking was, why would he tell Phil Jackson that, right? Like, what could possibly transpire for him to have that kind of hate or malice towards Phil Jackson, that he, no matter if he went 82-0, he wasn't going to bring him back, right? I just couldn't believe that. So then I saw they were talking about the owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, and where he found Jerry Krause at to offer him the GM job. And Jerry Krause came from the world of baseball, MLB. He worked for the Chicago White Sox before he got hired for the Bulls job. So um, obviously I don't know much about the structure of a GM position, but I thought that they usually have some type of experience in their specific field, whether it was, baseball or football or basketball. So a guy going from baseball to basketball was surprising. But the first thing I thought was, did Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause have some type of like personal behind the scenes relationship? Or, do they know kind of the same people, or did they run in the same circle to that kind of gave him that leg up on anyone else when that GM job for the Bulls became available, right? Because I think a lot of people wondered, how Jerry Krause got that GM job. And it seemed from episode one that Jerry Krause had a lot of ego and he wanted a lot of the praise and attention for assembling that 97-98 season, with obviously Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc, Ron Harper, those main guys, right? So it seemed like that was one thing I didn't know as a youngster, as a young 8 or 9 year old, that the GM, it was all essentially kind of the GM's fault that that team and that dynasty would get broken up after the 97-98 season. And the last thing for episode one was I could not believe and was utterly shocked how Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and some of the players were joking with Jerry Krause, right? Like no holds barred, right? Like coming at him however they wanted to, saying whatever they wanted to. You could tell there was no respect there. They was gonna say anything. They didn't care he was a GM because they didn't feel respected. They felt like he did whatever he wanted in the front office, and didn't respect them as players. When really, they were the ones putting their necks and their bodies on the line to make, the dynasty of the Chicago Bulls in the 90s what it was. And they felt like they didn't get enough credit. So I thought that was shocking to me, obviously, because I just didn't know that. I was oblivious to the fact of that relationship. So that was kind of cool to see the behind the scenes behind that and kind of see how those relationships festered over the years because they just they didn't connect with him, and a lot of guys didn't get certain restructures of the contract. So that malice kind of stayed with them every season. By 97-98, they were over it. They were tired of him. They didn't care. They were going to say anything they wanted, right? So that was like crazy. Okay, on to episode 2, obviously Pippen stole the show. So of course everybody tripped about this. And again, this was something that I didn't know because in 1991 when his contract was signed, I was 2 years old, right? So I didn't know the specifics or logistics of what happened. But in 1991, Scottie Pippen signed a 7-year, $18 million deal. And, they asked him all these questions like, hey, why? Apparently, the owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, told Pippen, hey, I don't think this is good for you. Maybe you should sign 3-4 years so you could come back to the table. Because apparently, Jerry Reinsdorf had a rule that after you sign a contract, you can't come back to him looking for a new contract until that contract expires, right? So 7 years, $18 million, that's roughly 2 point something and some change per year. And obviously after like the first 2 years, Scottie Pippen outperformed that contract, right? He was always the second best player on the team behind Michael Jordan. And then in 1993, when Michael Jordan retired, he was the best. He was proclaimed the best player in the league the whole 1993-94 season when Michael Jordan went to play baseball for that season before coming back in 1995. So the fact that one of the best players in the NBA was only making 2 point something million dollars, that was insane, right? Pretty much unheard of. You would never ever hear anything like that. Another fact I didn't know was that Pippen had a chance before the 97 season. He had a chance to get surgery during that summer instead of waiting until the fall, till the beginning of the season to get surgery. And when they asked him what was his reasoning for doing that, he said because he didn't want to fuck up his summer. And so that was alarming because as far as I knew, Pippen was a super selfless guy, an awesome teammate, never put himself before the team, but obviously that action step in his career seemed selfish, and Michael Jordan reiterated that he thought that, that was selfish of Scottie Pippen. But it's kind of like if you were in that position, it's kind of like, what would you do, right? You knew that you had outperformed your contract. You knew this was the last year of your contract. You knew you were sufficiently underpaid, one of the lowest paid on the team, but the second best player on the team. So if the shoe was on the other foot, what would you have done? Would you have ruined your summer, got your surgery during the summer so you could be back for the full NBA season in which you're getting underpaid and you already know that your head coach isn't coming back and you know that the whole dynasty is essentially getting broke up? Would you have got it during the summer, or would you have done what Scottie Pippen did and waited till the fall and missed some of the season to kind of say, like, F you management, F you ownership, you guys don't want to do what we think is best. Okay, you guys will have to figure it out without me for at least half the season, right? Um, so let me know in the comments below, your take on that and what you would have done, because that was an extremely alarming set of circumstances, in my opinion, right? Not really sure what I would have done. What else we got? Also, I mean, regarding Pippen from that episode too, like he said, in 1991, he went a longevity. He was from a small town in Arkansas. That went to Central Arkansas, kind of came up with that underdog mentality and just wanted longevity for his family. I mean, 1991, no one was making $18 million over 7 years. So I understand it from that aspect, right? But at the same time, Scottie Pippen being one of the best players in the league, I just honestly think the owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, could have did something to restructure. I mean, he could have figured it out, right? It seemed like he just did not want to go against the grain at all, and he was going to do exactly what he said he was going to do. Don't come back to after the '98 season, right? And I just think he could have been transparent with Scottie, and they could have figured it out. But I guess, back in the '90s, he just wasn't willing to break his routine. He wasn't willing to break his word. And apparently everyone in Chicago and everybody in that organization knew that whatever Jerry said, he wasn't going to renege on his word. So that was unfortunate to see, in my opinion. All right, episode 3. Dennis Rodman. Obviously, we know Dennis Rodman was with the Bad Boys, Detroit Pistons, I believe, when he won those championships of '89 and '90, and then he went to the Spurs for a few years, and then he came to the Bulls for their second dynasty, '95, '96, '97 season, right? He was well into his 30s, but, obviously he had changed with the piercings and the dyeings of the hair every week and the rock star life and the Vegas trips and just always being out in clubs and dating Madonna and Carmen Electra and still finding some way to balance being, the best rebounder in the NBA. I think his career trajectory was quite interesting. One thing that stood out for me, episode 3, when they were really like digging deep into Dennis Rodman's background, was I didn't know that after college he was basically homeless, or he lived on the street for 2 years before finally finding his way into the NBA at the age of 25. I did not know that. It's very interesting to when you see, when you see where guys really come from and their journey, and the fact that he was living like in his car on the street for 2 years before he got drafted in the second round at the age of 25, before he finally got an NBA chance. That was, pretty alarming, and also that he grew up in poverty and things like that. I kind of wonder, did that have a big correlation on why he did the things that he did? Why did he have the interests that he ended up having later in his career, like wearing dresses and getting a bunch of tattoos and piercings, and kind of just going against the norm? Because when he first came into the league, he was pretty normal, no tattoos, regular haircut, did everything he was supposed to do, never went against the grain, never was resistant towards any type of rules. And then he just kind of went from that to super rebellious. So that was interesting to see kind of that backstory of why that happened for him, right? And lastly, for Dennis Rodman, it seemed like I think Phil Jackson got a bunch of flack for letting Dennis Rodman go on that 3-day escapade in Las Vegas during the season, right? Michael Jordan was cussing up a storm, said, hey, I need a fucking vacation, right? And I'm the star of the team. But some way, somehow, they kind of elaborated on, Phil Jackson being kind of like spiritually connected to the team, and he just knew that Dennis really, really needed that, and he just felt like if he didn't give him that, he would have exploded during the season. And I just love that kind of like personal player to coach tactic, and kind of trying to understand Dennis, because a lot of people thought Dennis was weird, or a lot of people thought Dennis was extremely resistant. So the fact that Phil Jackson was able to see through that, give him that chance to have that getaway, and it ended up working, because they ended up going on a long winning streak that season and ultimately winning the championship. I thought that was super dope, and it increased my respect for Phil Jackson on an exponential level, just because he was able to side with the player, and ultimately it worked out. Right? And the last fact about I saw just some fun facts or things I couldn't believe. In the year 1989, I did not know Jordan went crazy like that. He was league MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. He won a dunk contest, and he won the scoring title that year. I mean, and I just love when Doug Collins said, "Oh, what was the game plan for Michael that game?" He said, "Hey, pass the ball to Michael, and get the fuck out the way." So that was pretty cool to see. Kind of just his transparency, but the realness of their relationship. They knew that, hey, Air Jordan, he was the root of the team in the '80s, trying to because during that time they were trying to climb that and find a way to get over the Detroit Pistons, and Jordan was scoring 63 and 69 and having a bunch of 50-point games, to kind of just carrying the team. And Dale Collins was a young coach. He understood that, and he did not shy away from telling the media that, right? So that was pretty funny. So that's kind of just my excerpt of the documentary thus far. It's been 4 episodes so far. Super, super excited to see episode 5 and 6. You can catch that obviously on ESPN this Sunday, May 3rd, at 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. PDT. And I'll, do another review after the next 4 episodes. So episode 5, 6, 7, 8. Super, super excited. Please leave your comments on your personal review below. I know everyone has different opinions on what they saw those first 4 episodes. So again, thank you for tuning into episode 2 of Transparency Conversations. I hope you guys have enjoyed my review. Please leave any comments below. Like, share, and I'll see you guys next time for episode 4. Bye-bye.